and we've seen him on Renata. Get him on Engage, right? Stick him on something. If you can get him on Alistair, great. If you can get him on something, anything where he can lead the charge. And Showmaker, get him on Comfort. He hasn't looked great on the Galio. He hasn't looked great on the Azir. I feel like, you know, they're spending time trying to put him on picks to deny BDD. It's not working. Put him on picks where you're enabling him instead, I think is what I would be looking to do in this situation. Flying through bans so far. Yone and Nico banned by Dplus again on the blue side once again here. Instead of the Scion, they're banning away the Nocturne this time. We're getting the Vi, Talia again from KT. No Poppy ban coming out yet, though. Does come through now. So Scion has been left available this time, which was banned in the last one. And looking at the Victor Showmaker. So wanting to prioritize that for him. We'll see what KT look to go for here. They're going to early prio the Senna and then go for the Xin Zhao. So I mean, I feel like Xin Zhao priority has dropped off a decent amount in recent times, but two pretty high up in the tier list picks for KT here. Now, what is Lucy going to take in response? A lot of the junglers taking off the cards that we typically see. Wukong is still available, but not looking towards that right now.
Smolder
answer into Senna. Match scaling with scaling.
Yeah.
Looking to deny the Senna Nautilus, which is a really common combo. You do run the risk of playing into Senna Tom, though, by going the Nautilus here.
Senna Tom is definitely strong.
But they might just... KT could just pick mid. Could just go for that Scion, which is available. And especially so far, you know what? This game definitely leaning late, I would say. So picking up a Scion might be a good idea here. Second rotation, I think KT could be looking to ban away. Like, I mean, Shivu could play Ambessa into this. Any other player, and I might think maybe an Ornn would be picked on the Scion. I don't know if Shivu was going to do that, though. They do ban away the Wukong from Lucid. I would think maybe the Tom would be a good ban from Dplus. We saw Peter play that before as well to great effect. I also think the Alistair
yeah,
could be a great ban as well. Instead of banning the Orianna.
So they're targeting BDD, which, I mean, that's not a bad idea. He is playing very well, but Duckdom is also playing really well this series. So if you give Duckdom a really strong lane, alongside of Peter's support, I think there's a lot of things to consider here. Don't mind the Orianna ban at first, but...
Yeah, one thing with the Smolder is obviously, once he gets to stacks really strong, but Senna does outrange him, you know, even though he obviously does a lot with the rapid fire and the burn, and they're like, he does like a lot of damage with that singular proc. Like, Senna will eventually just have longer range. So if you end up with a Tom in the later stages, it can be really, really hard to deal with that, especially since you don't know what you're dealing with in the mid lane yet. They go for the... Narban, thinking it's a Scion in the bot lane, but this was only really a thing when it was Senna support.
Yeah.
And I like, you know, it's farming Senna now. I really don't think they're going to play Senna support and farming Scion in the bot lane. I guess that's what they're really worried about, but that just feels like such a...
You just gave Peter Alistair.
That feels like such a throwaway ban. That feels like such a throwaway ban.
Yeah, and we've said that before, but this one is like... next level throwaway ban.
Like, there was no way they were going to play that. I mean, I know that, like, that was a thing when it was support Senna was the meta, and I feel like it was always going to be, like, the Alistair R4 comes out, and now you have Senna Alistair, which I'm going to be real, these were, like, two of the strongest picks on the patch in the bot lane.
He doesn't look very happy about it. He feels forced to play Ornn.
Yeah.
Which, he's your best performing player right now, and yes, you can make plays with Ornn, but... it's not exactly in his wheelhouse, and you're kind of playing around aiming and Showmaker with this Ornn pick.
Okay, looking at the potentially the Kindred. But the thing is, like, you don't have prio top because Scion has early prio into Ornn. You're not going to have prio in the bot lane because it's Senna into the Smolder. Mid lane, you don't know the matchup yet. So I'm not really confident this Kindred's going to get the ball rolling. You're kind of at the whim of KT, I feel like, in this game.
That's a hefty amount of poke. You'd always love to outrange the victor if possible, but how about outranging everybody? Cassiopeia is going to be locked, and we're going to get BDD's Cassiopeia. I can't remember the last time he's played this champ.
So much scaling coming out here in this game. It feels like, you know, the scaling was opted into early, and both teams just matched. And we're now getting into a situation where we are leaning heavily into the late game. And I feel like KT are going to have a bit of an earlier edge. There's some aspects, like the Kindred needs marks, really. It's the stacking rate of the Smolder is going to be an aspect, the leveling rate of the Ornn. When we get into the later stages, you know, I feel like probably give the edge over to Dplus in terms of overall scaling. But, you know, that's if they get to the late game, right? And I think that's my main concern. Like, I think the fact that they have the Smolder and the Victor, I think I would probably give the, and the Ornn. But again, you have to get there. And I don't think it's clear-cut that they do get to that point of the game.
Wow.
Very chaotic.
I don't know what to expect from this one. I feel like you can get away with scaling drafts like this. We've seen it before. Even adding in the Kindred with the Ornn. We know exactly what this comp does. It's very obvious. But again, as you've mentioned, I don't know if KT's going to give them the time of day to do that. I think because has a lot of ways to work with the Xingqiao to gank a bunch of the lanes, and you gave Peter Alistair as well. A lot of playmaking potential here for KT. Let's see how it goes in game number 3.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다. 미니언 생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
Alrighty, here we go. Game number 3.
Dplus looking for something level 1. I mean, that's the thing as well. Both these teams have a ton of scaling aspects. And again, I gave the edge to Dplus, but I think KT have more early pressure, and that's going to be the more important thing, rather than who has like a slight edge in the late game.
Peter went in for another auto, and he will live and get the ignite.
Yeah, Peter went Aftershock here, which is not that common
미니언들이
for
생성되었습니다.
Alistairs. We've seen a lot more Glacial Augment Phase Rush sort of vibes in the Alistair, who can have to be tanky,
Yeah.
but I guess maybe concerned about the amount of damage that comes through. Aiming did get 2 stacks there off the passive.
Dom got 1,
Yeah, but aimings are harder to stack, so it's like
especially early on.
someone calculated how much each stacks are worth relative with like how, you know, how hard it is to stack them.
Yeah.
Like obviously like Cho'Gath stacks are worth a lot more than like Smolder stacks, and like Scion stacks are worth a lot less. A lot of stack in this game. A lot of stacking. I think really the most important stacks this game are going to be Lucid stacks. Because everyone else is going to get stacks eventually. They're going to come through. Like, faster is better, don't get me wrong. But if Lucid might just not get stacks. That is like a very real scenario that could happen.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, he's going to be useless. And if he's useless, Dplus's composition is going to struggle. And their bot lane, guys, this is an Alistair level 1. When your lane is going like this against a level 1 Alistair, not a good time.
You know something has gone wrong along the way. I mean, they could have expected it, but a lot of trading early, like running straight into Peter in melee range.
This is just how the lane goes. And the thing is, it's fine. Like, Smolder is not bad in the Senna, because even though Senna has the lane advantage, like, you pick it to scale, right? Like, I'm not saying this is like a terrible thing to happen.
Yeah.
The problem is that like you have a Kindred and you want a prio lane, and it's like, where is your prio lane? That's my issue. That's what I'm kind of pointing out here.
It was in game 2. That's where their prio lane is.
Yeah, that's where their prio lanes.
They had prio lanes in game 2. We didn't see it.
Yeah.
BDD, I feel like he's really feeling himself today. He's playing very well. And Cassiopeia is definitely one of those champs that, especially in pro, it's kind of like it's like a carpal tunnel simulator. You know, like there's a lot of clicking. Your spacing has to be perfect. He's probably really feeling himself to pick something like this. Obviously, his choices were very limited.
You know, for those who've been along with us for the whole series so far, we mentioned at the start of the day, like imagine if your keyboard crashed during a fight and you have to start clicking instead. I don't think you could do that in Cassiopeia.
No.
Definitely not.
That's one champ where you call the pause immediately.
You could not just go into you could not just go into clicking mode.
No. Looks like she was doing pretty good, pretty well up in the top lane. So that's working for Dplus so far.
Oh, did Lucid win the coin flip? Well,
I don't see a stack,
it appears not.
so looks like no.
Well, FF go next.
That's how every Kindred player feels.
Yeah.
Mid lane not going very well here for Showmaker. It's been a little bit of a theme, unfortunately, in these 3 games. Obviously, into Cassio, you're not really going to win early as Victor. Long-term trading potential very good for the Cassio. Shu in a bit of trouble here, actually. I think he's beginning to realize it.
Oh, he's very dead. This is over, though.
Yeah. Timing of this could be okay, and yeah, Cuz just going to back away.
Cuz rethinks it.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think he kind of thinks over, like, okay, how much value do I actually get from ganking compared to how bad it would be if I got counter ganked? And it would be pretty bad if you got counter ganked.
Yeah.
Because you know who Kindred is always going to have his mark on at the start of the game? The enemy jungler.
Yep.
So just don't give him an in.
It does kind of play into our lack of action feel in this game.
Yeah, this is very chill game vibes to sort of see how things go. You know, give it 30 minutes. This is kind of, you know, this is only game 3. I remember this was like, it was the final game of the LCK Cup when it was HLE against Genji.
Yeah.
And we got like the Aurelion Soul game.
Yeah.
From Chovy. And we were like, we're going late.
And we did. Nothing happened for like 30 minutes. A little bit happening in the bottom lane, but mostly just trading for stacks. Lucid is here. And then he's like, no, I'm not. I was never here, actually.
Looking. He's just watching.
He's just looking at them. Look at him in the bush looking at them. It's not very nice.
It's like in the cinematic, right? He's just watching, waiting to see if someone dies.
Yeah.
Oh, no one's close to death. Okay, I'm leaving.
Cuz gonna put down a ward. Maybe threaten to start this dragon. It is an early ocean, which, I mean, there's not a lot of trading, but it's still going to be good just for exerting a bit more pressure in the lanes. As we're getting some information, the last time BDD played Cassiopeia was 2022, March 5th, when he was on Notion playing against Bro. His overall win rate on Cassiopeia is also 20%. He is 1-4. He's only played it 5 times. Obviously, the majority of League of Legends in his career has not been Fearless, so kind of makes sense. This hasn't been a very popular pro pick, but see him play it at least a couple of times, up to 5 times, and not be too successful in it, and then pull it out in this situation is pretty interesting.
Yeah. I guess maybe something he was practicing specifically because of Fearless. And I feel like Cassiopeia is one of these picks where, you know, there's definite weaknesses to the champion, right? In the fact that it lacks range and it lacks wave clear. But it also is so good in the right scenario. It's one of those picks where, you know, in the short range champions into, you know, melee champions, into more bulky champions, it does really well. Which is why it kind of is one of those champions you see enabled by Fearless in particular.
Yeah, and you know, he had some other choices, like he could have considered the Xerath, which he hovered. I think that Xerath kind of struggles into Ornn at times, so maybe just didn't want to go for that. Maybe he felt like it wasn't enough consistent damage, because if you're just Xerath and you're just like in a fight for a long time, you're gonna...
I would not pick Xerath into Ornn. And also, into like Smolder Kindred, it's so hard to actually like reliably hit them.
Yeah.
They just move, they flap around. Well,
and Cassio can stop that.
Smolder does, yeah.
With her miasma.
I also think like if you Kindredal and then she just throws down the miasma on it, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible time.
Other choices could have been like, what, Syndra, but again, that's kind of like a spiky champ, and it's not going to have a lot of late game power. Like,
and we're just locked into scaling, apparently, you know? We're just scaling, because why not?
They already had Senna. They already had Sion. They're playing in a scaling. So they're like, well, either we look for the best scaling champ, or we just kind of get something that doesn't fit, that I'm better at. So he just kind of went for the Cassio. This makes sense. I mean, again, I feel like he's really playing well today, and the Cassio is a champ where you're going to need to play very well. And Miasma also good into Ornn. You know, if he throws down an ult and you're nearby, you just drop that on him. He can't ult. Well, he can't do the second part, at least. So, a lot of different angles for the Cassiopeia strength. I think it was a good call, outside of the fact that he hasn't played it very much, and he's 1-4.
She was not having fun on this lane matchup. You know, like early levels, we often see Sion Bully Ornn out a good amount. But normally I feel like when we get to this point, the Ornn handles it a bit better. And she was just, he's not having fun. Oh.
Looks like maybe he missed that cannon, and a bit of damage is going in onto BDD. Hook is just joking. He didn't actually want to
BDD
engage.
didn't actually do the walk strategy there. That was the slither strategy, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Slithered away. Yeah, maybe you might think, well, maybe if BDD had bought boots, he would have been able to dodge away faster. But actually, little tidbit, Cassiopeia cannot buy boots.
Wow.
Did you know that?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so
I did know that.
Cassiopeia can't buy boots because she's a snake. Why can Nami buy boots?
You know, I don't have the answer for you.
Make it make sense. Where's the consistency, you know?
Some things just don't make sense in League of Legends.
Like,
It's
at
just
least
the way they are.
At least Cassiopeia is actually touching the ground. Nami just floats, you know? Boots make Corki go faster. He's in a plane.
What about Xerath?
He's in a plane. He floats too, yeah.
Yeah, he's floating. Why does he need boots?
He didn't have, does he even have legs? He's like,
I don't know.
he's like a weird, you know? He's not even, I don't
He's
even
like
think
an
he has legs.
elemental being?
Yeah, like, why does he need
Why does he need
boots?
boots? Yeah.
Just to look fresh.
A really good question.
It's just to look fresh.
He's one of those sneaker people.
Yeah. If you go into Xerath's house, he just has a wall of
Like
sneakers.
40 different pairs of sneakers.
Never wears them. They're all brand new.
Yeah. It's an investment, Mom. You wouldn't understand. Oh, man.
Oh, Xerath and his hobbies. This is why Azir never liked him. Azir just wanted to borrow some shoes, you know?
Yeah.
That's all it was about. That's the whole Shurima beef. You know, if anyone hasn't read the lore, that's 90% of it
what
right
it is
there.
about, yeah. He's more of a utilitarian, you know. He's just kind of... It's all about using them for walking on the ground.
Well, in fairness, Xerath was like, well, you can borrow one of my older pairs, right? And then, you know, Shurima's a man of the people. He was letting his sand soldiers use the shoes as well. And then Xerath got them back, and there was sand in them.
Oh, no.
That's what caused the whole beef. You know,
if you go to Busan, you can get sand in your sneakers.
Well, Xerath wouldn't like that.
But Xerath wouldn't like that, but we got a bit of a fight. I'm just kidding. So anyway, about Busan. Really looking forward to that. Should be a lot of fun. Lucid just going to face check into where he knew Cassiopeia was. But he is Kindred, and he will live. The ult comes down, and the laser gets him. The Drake still goes over to KT, but that's a couple of kills now over to DK. Perfect does not have his flash. It's a third Chemtech soul in a row. And Perfect, very tanky, but I think eventually he just dies. And so 3 kills to DK, not half bad.
I'm really off my game today. Sorry, guys. It is just Chemtech.
3 in a row.
Yeah. That was... Okay, so initially they think they've caught Lucid, but he does this... It's this crazy play. So what he does is he presses R. In the meantime, Shiwu just solo kills Cuz as Ornn, by the way. That's a thing that happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, PDD dies on the Cassiopeia. And in the meantime, they just chase down Perfect. Crazy. So I was all like, yeah, Dplus don't really have the early pressure. Apparently they do. And now, Showmaker, 2 kills in the bag. Shiwu got a solo kill in the Ornn. It's all looking good.
Yeah.
800 gold lead. They're down 2 dragons. Who really cares? It's Chemtech Soul. I will say, though, Chemtech Soul, that Scion Shield, it's going to be fat.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty big. Also, some pretty nice health bars on, you know, even the Alistar if he ults when he's low health, or obviously Scion is the other one. So you got some value there. On the side of DK, they have the Ornn mostly. Nautilus is not going to end up being too tanky. But yeah, I just thought they would be able to burst down Lucid. I thought they had the damage.
Yeah, I think Cassiopeia is still at that point where she kind of just... It looks like she's doing damage. Like she's spitting out. She's like...
Yeah.
But she's not actually doing that much damage because she has like no AP. Just a lot of mana.
He went Rod as well, so...
Yeah, it's just a lot of mana.
Yeah.
Well, he's fully locked into the scaling, you know. This was the scaling game.
Good idea.
But, and BDD is playing the Snake champion who does have scales. But
yeah.
aiming,
you know, we always
playing
mention...
a scales champion, scalesing.
Yeah, that's a good point, because we always mention Smolder and obviously Renekton, but we never mention Cassiopeia.
Yes, Renekton, the ultimate scalesing champion.
Yeah.
Thank you, Morgan.
He doesn't scale very well, but he scales.
Well, he does now with the ult damage. No, he doesn't. He still doesn't. Sorry, I'm not gonna perpetrate lies on our broadcast.
Yeah. So Guyan mentioned that he picked Cassiopeia and not Xerath because he wants to go to Busan.
Yeah, and Xerath doesn't want to go to Busan because he would get sand in his sneakers.
Yeah, his very expensive sneakers that he has many pairs of.
I'm glad we could establish that.
Yeah. That's a good point. Probably not a good idea to pick Xerath. But as this game, or the series, comes along, like if DK wins this game, maybe we do get to a spot where he plays Xerath.
Maybe. Could also
maybe that's how DK win.
Could also get me to a point where my prediction's correct, which, you know, isn't that what it's all about? It's exactly what Mao would say and not me.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay.
Oh, aiming! Whoa!
Aiming, skanking over the wall. He picked up, I think, 2 or maybe 3 stacks. Here comes Sion and now barrels there. So, not really sure about that play, but, you know, aiming got 3 stacks.
You know, look, Beryl is a player who I think many times has played too aggressive and died for it. I ain't blaming him for that one, right? Aiming flies over the wall and Beryl dies for it. You know, a little bit crazy, a little bit over aggressive. They do get Dogdam's flash though, so you know there is something from it. They're now they are looking to fight for this 4v5.
They don't have their Nautilus. It's gone, and now the ult comes down, and the Ornn is just stuck on the miasma. Finally gets out, just barely as the sun doesn't come down, and now the counter ult does come down. Only his
nice
Sion.
dodge.
Yeah, good dodge. Bit of damage here from aiming. He's just collecting stacks. There's some more stacks. And, yeah, nobody's actually fighting. Maybe able to go for perfect, though, as he is trying to run, but he's not quite able to run fast enough. So the kill goes to aiming, actually.
Okay, I mean, if the goal was getting stacks, that was a huge team fight, you know, from Dplus. It was like they got the trade back, massive, but also aiming actually got so much stacks because he got so much AoE down there. So 161, he's actually coming along pretty well in that department. This was yeah.
Stacks.
It was a play, and then Beryl was like, I'm here, I'm ready for you.
4. He got 4 stacks.
Yeah, that was a play. But then here, so this one was a little bit scrappy. Shiru ends up getting ulted immediately, and they just don't quite have enough damage to kill him immediately. But then, like, oh no, never mind. Too much fighting. Guys, I know these are scaling comps, but we have to fight now.
Yeah. Not sure about that. Peril takes a big chunk already. Perfect, though, is getting chunked massively. Might have to flash out of this one as he goes in first, and then he goes out. Shiyu gonna come down here, but this might should go. Yes, it will. Over to KT. Cuz throws down his circle, but a lot of low health bars here on the side of KT. BDD at least gets the 1 kill, but they have to abandon ship. It looks like Perfect might just be the sacrifice again. The Showmaker picks up yet another kill. Looking for a bit more backing on the ward right here is Dogdam. As, yeah, he might just die. 1 clap does it, and the flash over the wall, and Lucid picks up the kill. Still no stack as he only has 1 so far. And now he gets popped over to the side of BDD. It's KT. They're turning this fight around about 2 minutes later, continuing to go in onto Siu, who is desperately trying to get away. And might just be able to, Cuz continuing to go in. BDD still here, and now with the combo coming down, looks like Shu is just dead. And they even give that kill over to BDD.
You know, I was ready to flame Dogdam for that recall, but it was all a bait, allegedly. Perhaps,
excellent play.
Maybe. Yes, totally, surely. Feature strength go over to Dplus. Oh no, they're looking for Showmaker.
Uh-oh.
He's got it.
Nice flash. There it is. Flash comes in. And the Sentinel ult over the top keeps him alive. Looks like he was going to live anyway, but no damage really comes in. Now aiming, walking down very fast, and Barrel's going to hook him in here. Not sure about that one, Barrel, as now he is being taken for a walk, and the ult comes down, and is aiming! Aiming looks straight into the eyes of the snake and gets punished for it, and Showmaker gets baited. He's got 3 kills and 0 deaths, and Duckdom collects huge amounts of cash money.
The MVP of the play, Duckdom, who set it all up with his recall, comes back to get the kill. No, but in all seriousness,
Hours later.
BDD is so locked in to going to Busan, just slithering about on the sand, getting a huge ult on aiming, and this game, you know, game 2 feels like the outlier where things were one-sided. This game is chaos again, like game 1. This fight, you know, perfect. He's like, guys, finish the dragon quickly, I'll hold them off. And he's like, guys, quickly. And they're just taking so long to kill this dragon. Eventually they get it. BDD doesn't get huge value with the ult, but they managed to kill Barrel, and initially it looks like it's just a barrel for perfect trade, which seems like everything is a barrel for perfect trade. And then this recall, which the tower was right there. There's no reason to be recalling there. But he just survives thanks to the barrier. Lucid flashes in, which he ends up regretting because Peter just knocks him straight in the BDD. And then it just...
Moments later.
You know, Barrel...
aiming, no!
He hooks a minion, aiming, turns right into the ult. Peter was you know, we didn't need to see any more. Honestly, I think we've seen enough of that fight. It was...
I'm glad it's over.
Well, now KT ahead. They have 3 dragons in pocket. They don't have the feats of strength, but I don't think they're too bothered. They're just setting up the Arakan. BDD nearly had the Rod of Ages, but aiming nearly has his full stacks, which is a big spike they definitely need.
Yeah, I mean...
16.
No reason to rush for the Arakan. I like what KT are trying to do maybe before he has his stacks, but Rift Herald's still in the game. And it looks like we are going to have the Alistar piloting this one. Not going to do any missing maneuvers here. As now, Shiu goes in and he just kind of dies. No follow-up. Gets burnt down. And Perfect is also getting burnt down, giving a bunch of stacks over to the Smolder.
He has hit his threshold, aiming very scary now. But they just lost their own. So... definitely not helping in this situation. And aiming... still very squishy. I mean, that's one of the things with Smolder now compared to old Smolder, is that you're so much squishier because you have to go the crit build really to represent real damage. And so, yes, he's doing a lot, but he just feels very squishy and vulnerable. They will move the Arakan, it will be taken. And by the way, I do want to mention something. So we've been talking a lot about stacks and how the person I put the most emphasis on stack-wise, the person I said really needed to have stacks, was this Kindred. I don't know if you saw how many stacks he has, Brendan.
I did.
2.
2.
He's not a champion yet. Like, Kindred's range is so bad until he gets 4 stacks.
Yeah.
So,
And we're
like,
22 minutes in.
Yeah, he is just not he is an ult bot. He is literally an ult bot at this point.
He's heading on Cuz the whole game, and understandably so, but they have not been doing a good job of killing Cuz because, well,
he's got him perfect now, which is honestly definitely the best target, but he needs 4 stacks to be useful. I mean, ideally you'd want more, but he still doesn't have 4. And the thing is, it means it's all on aiming and Showmaker, and Showmaker's not that strong. Aiming is pretty strong at least, but it's like it's Smolder or bust at this point.
You got the Scion flank, and he's going to start running the opposite way. Nice little knock up here on Ashiu, who once again is just being bullied. So much damage coming down onto him already. At least he's able to get his ult off. He's in the Kindred, but Peter's in the back line, knocking everybody up. And now the follow-up comes in from KT. Lucid is dead, and Perfect just chases them down. Alongside of Peter, just going to taxi them out of this one. And the Dragon is up, and that will be Chemtech Soul for KT.
Yep, and a lot of value from that. The healing available to the center, the shielding for the Scion, but also just if you get someone low, that's going to be so much harder to kill. You're already struggling to cut through these health bars.
Yeah. Cassiopeia, Xin Zhao, Alistar, Scion. It's basically only Senna who doesn't get a huge amount of value from the Soul.
Oh,
and now they're
no!
hitting in mid! Their root's going to come down, and aiming just dies for free! KT! They're going up, up, up on this roller coaster, and I don't see any signs of coming down yet.
No one was ready to call a 3-0.
Did we just get a shot of fans leaving? Oh my! Oh man.
Okay, the one thing, the one saving grace is that the hype can't get any higher for KT than right now.
Yeah.
Can't get any more excited than right now, you know. But I ain't feeling it. I ain't seeing the lines. I'm not gonna lie, Brendan.
Yeah.
It's looking rough.
DK are outplaying the curse, I would say.
Yeah. Honestly, aiming's trying, but there's not much you can do in that situation. I just think, you know, I said it. Yes, this is the sort of composition where you can spawn in at like 40 minutes, and Lucid can spawn in with like 20 stacks or something. Great, but you didn't, and there was no avenue to get those stacks, and Cuz didn't even opt into plays that gave you the stacks, and KT also played like most of the earlier game and mid game better, honestly, and then you ended up here, and now, you know, Doctam outranges your entire comp, your Kindred is useless, Cassiopeia is giga-fed, and aiming can, like, once every rapid fire proc, he can do something, and he puts a little burn on your team. And then Doctam presses Q and out-heals that burn. That's it.
Yeah. That is the situation. Hex Flash from Peter. They got 2 control wards, the same amount as the amount of stacks that Lucid has in this brush.
Nice.
And we're just settling our way forward here. A little bit of stealth maneuver from Doctam and Peter, but...
Okay, well...
I
was going to say something positive, but I couldn't think of anything.
They can really burst down this Baron with the Cassiopeia.
Yeah, they need to try and contest this. This is the only time you're going to get a good fight.
It's pretty rough to do so. You see that even BDD isn't doing damage to the Baron. They're just allowing Doctam to chip away at it.
Yeah, they're pulling off. Lucid has a decent angle. Oh, the heal engage.
Heal engage almost creates some more action. We've had a lot, actually, for a game that has so much scaling. It's just the way it's going in this series. Drafts don't matter sometimes when it's DKKT.
Well, it's because they're both scaling, so they're both like, hey, we can't let them scale.
They're doing the Baron.
Oh, this is...
Guys.
Just send it, send it, send it, send it. You gotta send it, you gotta send it.
Nope, they're backing away. They're turning onto the TP. This is a Scion.
Just kill him, kill him, kill him, kill him, kill him.
Yeah, they might be able to. He's gonna ult out of the stun, and he is supremely tanky.
Yeah, they do no damage.
And now Xiu is taking a lot more on the left side here. He might be able to get his ult off, which does a decent amount, but you can see the rest of DK is just running away. And now that Miasma is down, Xiu didn't even have flash. The follow-up from Peter is huge. It is going to keep them around. Big ult comes through from Beryl, and now you've got them in place. At least the one kill does go their way. Nice look away from Lucid, but that is going to be the ult down from the Kindred, the ult bot. The follow-up hook from Beryl is big, but it's onto a Scion, and that is not going to be big at all. And now the follow-up here on the Lucid. Look at the range right now from the Senna. Just turreting them down. And now they can turn to look for this Baron.
Honestly, that would have been a good fight if the goal was closer. You could see the low health bars, you could see the burn so close to coming through, the execute nearly there, the damage, trying to make progress, but just not quite enough. They couldn't cut through the health bars, and KT able to survive and take the Baron, and now Elder in 2 minutes. You know, Dplus might have 1 Elder Dragon, but KT looking likely to get 5 in a couple of minutes, and here, they just don't cut through fast enough. Perfect's so tanky. Whereas Lucid just gets, like, VDD isn't even hitting him, and he's getting shredded. Yeah, and then Peter gets his head. I mean, even Peter feels when he ults tankier than Lucid, he does get shredded there by the 2 damage Vin. That was a nice dodge from Lucid. He does so much work to survive here. Imagine if he was a real champion.
Yeah.
Imagine if he had stacks. Oh well.
They barely get away. There was a chance that Aiming and Lucid died there, but they just flutter away. And still 2 stacks for the Kindred.
1 minute to figure out. And it's a level 14 Ornn, so not even that many ornaments to pass out.
In fact, there's 1.
Yeah.
Onto Victor. Black.
BDD's level
Torch.
17. Perfect's level 16. VD has 4 items, by the way.
He just keeps doing this, getting really fed, picking up POMs. Unfortunately, for Perfect, not exactly the highlight series, but you know, he played well still. He's just not put in that position that he was in the best of 3. And now, once again, Shio's kind of the bait in the front line. Sornold could be good. It's going to hit BDD at least. And now we have a bit of damage coming down. The Nautilus ult out of BDD as well is going to zone him away for quite a while. But now we got the flash in for Perfect. Trying to engage, and Beryl just going to be chopped away at as he gets taken down. Big stun onto 3. And now Peter going to go down. That's going to make this Chaos Storm quite large. And KT is going to dodge all that and just run away. Elder Drake is now live. And the burn is beginning to hurt here from the side of aiming. That's a huge one. And you do see some healing does come in from Duckdom, but DK now positioned here on this objective.
Getting a decent amount of poke, but the problem is there's so much sustain from KT. Shiu needs to be so careful.
Yeah, he's going to get slowed up there at the end there as well. Just barely gets away.
Center sustain is getting so much work done. Oh, Lucid, do not.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We got the Mega Cone, and he got ulted and taken down. A bit of damage does come out from aiming and Showmaker. They've still got mana, but the sustain that you mentioned and blue buff here for KT, BDD is going to get out of the stun. Pretty important. And now we got the wraparound. We got the wraparound once again. He's not going to hit anything except the wall, and he should be going down here. So now KT in a weird spot. Beryl respawns, as does Peter, but still kind of a wonky one.
Okay, they both have TP. Showmaker and aiming going to recall and TP back in. Lucy's going to spawn in 15. What? Okay, we just reset.
All right,
aiming.
round
Lucy's
2.
going to be back up. Wait, Lucy's going to be back up and Perfect's not going to beat. So Dplus actually going to be able to get position on Elder?
Should be able to.
Yeah, well,
Beryl ran out of
it looks
control
so
wards.
For Dplus, kind of, maybe, but not really.
Yeah, I mean...
By the way, aiming is 400 stacks.
Yeah. If aiming and Showmaker are still alive in a fight like that and they can just kite you out, like, yes, the Senna healing is great, but eventually it's going to start to hurt.
Also, level 16 for Showmaker is huge. The Arcane Storm is doing so much damage. Lucid is still 2 stacks, though. He is just a smite in a dream.
Wow. Well, he can live with his ult to maybe get in.
No. He's not living. His ult is to stop Cuz's smite so he can smite himself. That is... Lucid's job is to kill Elder.
Yeah, they almost broke through Perfect shield. They didn't quite do that, though. And we go again. We'll engage Randuin's. Yeah, Randuin's going to keep him around. All of these fights feel like endurance races right now for both these teams. Bit of damage goes on to Shiu. And, okay, so now the blue buff is gone. You can see that...
Is it just Smolder diff? If no one takes Elder, aiming is just going to be the Elder.
All right, we're trying to ult Duckdom. They're not going to be able to do so. And aiming is still the Elder. He's doing a huge amount of damage. Cuz is doing the Raptors.
He's a jungler at heart.
Got to get my farm in where I can, you know. It's all about this Elder still.
Guys, my CST stat. Got to keep it up.
Nothing has changed. We're still fighting the same fight from 3 minutes ago. Baron is going to spawn in a minute now. The Elder spawned while KT had the Baron. And now engaging onto the Ornn. That's a good one from Peter. Finds the front line. And Lucy going to be forced to ult early. Aiming, trying to run out of the ult. He's going to be pulled out of the stun, but still aiming goes down. And now it seems like the dominoes will fall again as 4 members go down for DK. KT looking to push in towards Showmaker. Not even going to look at that Elder Dragon. And aiming did 8k damage, and it still didn't matter.
Still not enough 8k damage. Half a Perfect's health bar, apparently. KT able to hold on strong. Gonna finish this one with a 3-0 and start their run through the gauntlet towards Busan.
Yeah, I mean, KT looking like a very scary team after this one. Not sure how much of it was their great play and DK's not so great play, but it's still a 3-0, a clean one. Nothing to see here going at KT Rolster. Their first spot in the gauntlet is secured, and they will face off against Nongshim Red Force tomorrow.
That's a bit heartbreaking for Dplus.